warmly welcome everybody to this webinar of the IPMA ESG Special Interest Group, the first one in 2024. And I welcome Dr. Glitcher, our speaker today. And again, I welcome all the attendees that already joined. Also, I'm sure that somebody will join maybe with some minutes of delay, but I really want to leave the floor and to leave the space to Dr. Glitcher. So I start, and Dr. Glitcher, if you may just help me with the first slide. It's a great pleasure to introduce to all of the attendees today what is IPMA Special Interest Group on ESG. Three messages. I think that if we are attending this webinar, we think that probably sustainable development is today the most important project in mankind history. This is something that we have to achieve for our survival. But despite the money, the funding, and despite the clarity of the objectives, because it's survival, our objective, there is still a high risk in this project. There is a risk of failure due to the lack of project management competences. And this is what the ESG Specialist Interest Group is tackling. We are engaged in two things. One is the creation of a sustainability-related project management standard, and the other one is the dissemination of the knowledge and the tool. And this is what we are doing today. Thank you, Wolfgang. Next one. Dissemination is something that for this year, we called Net Plus series of webinar, because we all understand the urgency of the situation on a macro level. We know that we have an issue. We know that we have an urgency. We know that we have an objective of the development towards a sustainable society. And we need action on a macro level, but also on a meso and on a micro level. Organizations, people, projects will need to reconsider their ESG impacts. And we need to improve their, when it comes to organization, but then it's our mix of negative impacts, CO2, user resources, emissions, impacts on society, but positive impacts are also relevant. Job creation, financial revenues, innovation. So overall, we should keep on making an impact, a positive impact, a positive contribution to society. That's why we call this net plus. It's not a net zero. We need to achieve a net plus impact. And this is an ambition, of course. But this is our ambition. Please continue being informed, be part of this effort, subscribing to the special interest group and promoting the activities that we do. Wolfgang, few simple rules. This webinar is recorded, will be made available on IPMA site. The speaker, Dr. Glitcher, will deliver the presentation in about 35 to 40 minutes in order to allow for 10-15 minutes for discussion Q&A. The Q&A will be collected through the Zoom Q&A function, and myself, the moderator, will manage the Q&A, clubbing the questions, if any. Unanswered questions after 3 o'clock, Central European Time, will have an offline follow-up. After the event, all the participants okay. I hope my audio is okay. Enrico say that I have sometimes a breakup.
No, I can hear you, no problem.
Okay, I'll continue. Enrico, I think it's on your side. Um, I was saying after the meeting, after the event, you will receive a digital badge with 1.5 CPDs, and you will receive a feedback form regarding the webinar. So please give us a feedback. Other important thing, the presentation and the link to the recording will be made available after a few days. It's relevant also because Dr. Glitcher will present some important slides, documents that are sometimes quite dense in the information, and then so you will have it hand out at the end. Last thing, I will introduce Dr. Glitcher, and the speaker today. He Dr. Glitcher worked more than 20 years as project manager, program director, department head, managing consultant in many industries at home, where home is Germany, and abroad, where abroad is the world. Um, of course, he was an handholder, a tough manager, a pressure tanker, sometimes a shrink, of course, a cook, I can testify, a barista, an actor, a listener, definitely, a curious person, frequent flyer, and a samurai. I'll tell you later. Um, Wolfgang, if I may call it by a name, is a person that likes understanding where crisis conflicts are, and he goes through them, finding solution. Studies technical chemistry and biochemistry, PhD in natural sciences. Since 2005, university lecturer in project manager technique in the Technical University of Berlin and in the GPE master program, so the Global Production Engineering. He is delegate of GPM, and for the ones that do not live in Germany, GPM is the IPMA member association for Germany. And Samurai, why? Because Dr. Glitcher is also a fifth dan in the Japanese martial art of Aikido. And with this, I leave you the floor, Wolfgang, and please enjoy how we can travel through the jungle. Please. And you're mute, your microphone, Wolfgang.
So, okay, now I'm on unmute. Okay. Thanks, Max, for the fantastic introduction. Okay, and welcome everybody for joining the seminar. The speech, hope you get some impressions about that, what it could mean for the future. So about rethinking project management. Sorry, I had to activate the screen again. Okay. I call this a strategic and operative mindsets for the jungle path towards circular economy. And hope after my speech you will get an imagination what that means and what challenges we had to face. And we start with a series of the SIG ESG group from the IPMA. First today with strategic framing. Second one will be best practice and regulations with frequently 2 months or something like that. So hopefully to give you a kind of impressions how to proceed with this really complex and complicated topic. Of course, I have a short agenda here about 7 topics, project management and the Anthropocene. Where are we now? Second point with project management, giving some imaginations about what circular economy means, causes a jungle path, then some suggestions about rethinking project management and rethinking project management about the human factor in that. Then something I called next 7G project management. You will probably face after the seminar what I mean with that, and call it we are in the driver's seat, and at least some conclusions. Okay, so let's start with project management and the Anthropocene. This graph you see here is the population rising up on the planet from 1,000 years ago until today. The first red cycle is about 1985. That was a year when my daughter was born. Second red cycle is now we raise up to 8 billions from 4 billions in 40 years ago. 40 years ago is estimated as a kind of generation. So, and the Anthropocene term was produced by Paul Crutzen, Nobel Prize of Chemistry, and the former director of the MPI, Max Planck Institute of Chemistry in Germany. So what does it mean? All these double of the inhabitants need food, they need housing, and they need textiles and closure. And that means, of course, resource consumption. Not only carbon dioxide emissions, but resource consumption at all. And all these industry branches together have about the responsibility of about 90% of carbon dioxide emission in the world. So how to change this? But we had to focus that it's not only carbon dioxide we had to focus on. It's climate change, it's biodiversity loss, land use change, freshwater use, nitrogen and phosphorus cycles, ocean acidification, atmospheric aerosol loading, chemical pollution, stratospheric ozone depletion. Not easy to handle, I guess. And it's a challenge, but we have to face the problems. Let's have a look what scientists said about this. This is from Nature Climate Change from December 22. It is widely accepted in the climate community, which means the researchers, that human behavior change is an irreplaceable component of systemic climate actions. But how to do that? So let's go to the second point, project management. What is the current situation we are facing? I have the status that we still, as project managers, deliver our project results into what's called closed structures. Airbus delivers an Airbus 350 to Lufthansa or to any other airliner, and then bye-bye. If you take a look here for the circular economy roadmap for Germany from AKT, Germany, which is a institution which is running since more than 10 years with lots of professors from researchers, Fraunhofer and other organizations, to find a way to discuss possibilities towards the way of circular economy, remanufacturing processes, and what's all about that. So, but what we are doing is we take resources on the left side of the slides here. Then we make it, production processes, whatever, and at least we have waste. Whatever happened with that, we don't know. And if you just try to make some research about how is circular economy going on now today worldwide, it looks like that is not really inside. You see this here on this graph from last year. It's 7.2% still. Okay, it's a bit, but not enough. So we had to come forward with that and get some new suggestions, some new ideas about it. And so what does it mean? So let's have a look here what the VDI, Verein Deutscher Ingenieure, the German Association of Engineers, said to this. They have also some working groups in this area. They called it here linear value chain. That was on the slide before. But people's buying behavior had to change. That means that everybody was consuming products. We had to change it. And in bold letters here, I have to design the components so that I can recycle them well. And from my point of view, that means that project managers and projects has a kind of contribution to that. So how to do that? Let's go to the jungle path. What's the definition for a circular economy? This is here from the Fraunhofer Institute of Production and Construction Technologies, where I also work on for this for my university lectures. They called it circular economy is an economy that works on keeping materials and energy at the highest value and for long as possible. But it was very much, we are still far away from that. So we had to face some strategic and operative ESG challenges. I hope everybody's familiar with ESG, environmental social governance, the kind of abbreviation for that. The first one is we had to take all responsibility for economy. That means we need food for people and housing and clothes. So we had to take care of cost efficiency. We had to try to find out about circular business models. We need value chain collaboration and market accessibility to that. The second point is ecology. We must be aware that nature does not produce waste. And we must be aware that the planet is not a complicated machine that can be fixed. Therefore, we need to design circular processes. If you go through literature, there are still some models around like C2C, cradle to cradle, performance economy, blue economy, and some others around. But okay, we had to implement, we had to establish that, we have to deploy this. And at least the social impact. Ethical sourcing, community engagement, user-centric design, prioritize user needs and safety and skills development. Down here in the footer, you find some remarks for literature if you want to get a bit deeper into this whole stuff. This was done from my own research and from the Fraunhofer IPK. So second thing about the win-win situation. We need to be aware that ESG needs a value creation. And we can distinguish between strong ESG positions and about weak ESG positions. On the left side here on the slide, you have top line growth, cost reductions, regulations, legal interventions, productivity, investment, assess optimization, and recruiting. As Max said in the introduction, I do not want to go into details here. We had later on this question and answer session, and you have my email down here, so we can find out later if you want to get deeper. Even you get the slides, so you can also contact me and we can discuss it with Zoom meetings or team, whatever, if you want to get deeper in that. So still the jungle path. There are still some standards in the circular ecosystem, like ISO standards, like EN standards and others, which you have to take care of still when you're in the production area. Ability to remanufacturing, product durability, repair, use, upgrade, circular assessments, and whatever. So it's a lot of, which is still on the run, but how to manage that. And here you see from some publication from scientists, or even 10 years old, the key role of the design stage. Still, 80% of the environmental impact of a product is determined at the design stage. That means we had to change this, and we had to be aware of this, even as project managers. And I have a citation here from one of my professors from the PTZ Production Technology Institute at the Technical University where I'm teaching. He said that Professor Dr. Günther Seeliger, he's a pope of remanufacturing, to say it like this in Germany. Project managers of a design project is a designer. But what does it mean? We have to face new challenges. If you go through literature, another slide here from a big congress of the Fraunhofer Institute for Production Technology last year in May. You can download it. This here was 400 pages from the Congress report. This is just one screenshot from one slide out of it. You see here that engineers start with the research area in the engineering about thinking about how to get life cycle sustainability into these processes and also into those production processes. We need data spheres, we need phase spaces for life cycles, we need sustainability assessments, and these 10 R's, refuse, rethink, reduce, reuse, and so on. So my suggestion is, as project managers, I guess we are designers of the future, aren't we? I think we are. So we have challenges of complexity. If you see this slide, it's one of the first Golf automobiles from Volkswagen from 1978, 1979. At that time, I like this photograph because it really shows at that time 7,000 components must be delivered to assemble this car. It's a huge number still. And starting to thinking about how to get this all components into circular processes, into a circular economy with remanufacturing processes. This is a huge challenge. You cannot do it tomorrow. And here on this graph down here on this table, you see now that car now have 30,000 components. And even airliners, Airbus, Boeing, whatever, have 2 millions. So we have to challenge lots of problems. So what's about this old thinking when I said take, make, waste from this Akatesh publication in former slides? Here's a citation of Mr. Einstein. Problems cannot be solved with the same kind of thinking that created them. So what does it mean? We have to change our thinking. And I guess that we need a kind of paradigm change. So let's go to the next step. Let's go to rethinking project management. What does it mean? What's behind that? As I said before, I guess we need a paradigm shift. Metrics organization. Let's have a new look on an old model. You see it here. I combine project management with a management. What has management to do inside organization? They're going to make the strategic decisions. They're going to take care of the enterprise environmental factors. And there's the provision of the resources, budgets, whatever. But we, from the point of project management, we have the operating knowledge. We know how to handle the things. We know how to bring it into products. We know how to bring it into services or whatever. Therefore, we have the knowledge about possible developments because very often we get a more deeper dive into the problems inside projects, also about the technical problems, about the production problems, whatever around that. And that means we have the knowledge about maybe how to realize it, or just a suggestion or something like that. And I guess we had to bring this very old metrics model together from the management perspective, from the strategic perspective, and from the operative perspective with a view of project managers. I think that's quite important. As I said before, I guess that a paradigm shift is required. As for the strategic and the operative management, and what you see here in the graph is just a CIO survey from McKinsey from December last year. With high impact, medium impact, low impact, what the CIOs answer about the trends to act in 2023. And if you go here to the first red cycle with a medium impact, only 29% said that increased importance of climate change and not zero transition is in their focus. And with the second one, only low impact, only 11% said that higher expectations for companies to have social purpose is in their focus. So this is not really in the focus of management. I think we have to change this. So let's go to the next step. It's the human factor. Max, I'm still online, yeah? You can hear me. Okay, fine. And while doing all this research, these discussions about that a couple of years ago, I found this interesting book here from Julia Watson. She's an architect, Australian architect from and now teaching at Harvard branch in New York. And they called it Design by Radical Indigenism, a new mythology of technology. And it's quite interesting because she just travel around in the world and looking for indigenous people living in areas which are not very common for humans to survive. And they're just looking what type of technologies they've been using on a long run to survive in areas like that. And one of the sentences here is they said, while scientific knowledge, as we do it here in the Western community, like Germany and all others, and all other countries too, is considered as essential truth, it is not actually constantly evolving mythology. And we just think that indigenism is a kind of myths, despite them encapsulating millennia-old enduring ecological knowledge. And I think we can learn from that too. And she said that this book is dedicated to the next 7 generations. which is a huge number of years, 300 or something like that. So the term about project management for the next 7 generation. And what's about strategic management in this context? And the link between strategic decisions and operational implementation, which means project management. So we required for all these jungle paths towards the circular economy a practical approach for product life cycles or product generations. Here an older graph from a scientific publication. You know this introduction phase, growth, maturity phase, saturation, and so on and so on. But go to potential recovery at the edge of this slide, of this graph. So we can think about the next generations. And we had to go back to the development phase. And if we said before that design had to be integrated and design had to be changed for production lines and for our products, we had to change this in the development phase too. But there might be some examples around that. And I think it's a human factor. If you look here, 2007 first iPhone, 2023 iPhone 15, that means that still knowledge exists about how to develop product generations, 15 in that case, in 16 years. I guess that it's not something we did not know. We just can take this. It might be interesting to get a study about Apple, research about their project management capabilities. Maybe somebody go together with me to Cappuccino. I don't know, it might be funny. Yeah, but we can do it. It's a human factor. So let's go back to Julia Watson. They said a next 7G project management. I just put this term into that from my point of view. It's based on a principle from Iroquois law that considers the impact of actions on subsequent 7 generations. This is freely interpreted by me. This means we need a paradigm shift in management and project management, required what is called metabolic thinking. As I'm a biochemist from my education, I know what metabolic thinking is. But it still goes into other areas, like here. Philippe Chiambaretta, he's an architect from Paris with a new planning of the Champs-Élysées in Paris. He writes very interesting essays about this. This is a citation here one. Challenge stakeholders to step out of their roles and advocate for more open and reflexive production practices. And he calls this metabolic thinking. What is this? What does it mean? The term itself comes from biochemistry. All matter circulates and is reused. Remember what I said before, nature does not produce waste. So we need a difference to system thinking. System thinking can also only focus on a system and its components. As an example, I look at the cell of a biological organism and its interactions, but only to this one cell. And I found last year this interesting article from Nature, Ecology and Evolution. Researchers found on the subtropical gyres in the North Pacific microorganisms who can survive on microplastics, on plastics gyres there. It's interesting because normally these microorganisms only can survive in coastal areas. So they must get a kind of adaptation towards, I guess, to produce enzymes to split these polymers into degradable and systems which they can use as nutrients. This is quite interesting because that shows that nature does not accept waste, to say it like this. There happens something. And that also means that we just had to take care of what we are doing if we just take off, for example, all this plastic from the ocean. Maybe we get lost of knowledge. I don't know. We still know that we are that we accumulate microplastic in our bodies and also in other bodies. And if we just take this off, we maybe get lost of knowledge because it might help us to get this microplastic out of our bodies. I don't know, but it's just a suggestion how to handle things like this. Okay, let's go now to the next slide. We have to serve all clients as project managers, and I call this CCCS. client. As more as agile Scrum methods been entered the field of project management, as more the client is involved in the processes, or should be involved. That means cooperation. Product owners still in the project teams, things like that, probably what's never happened before. We had to adapt with that. And that means we need more creativity around that. But I guess that we still have another client to serve. It's this one here. And I call them the super client. And that back to the questions. I think we are the designers of the future. And we have to face this. We have to face this challenge. So it's the human factors, baby. And I guess that we are in the driver's seat. Here's an editorial note also from Nature from 2011. The human epoch, the Anthropocene. And just they write here in this editorial publication that we are in the driver's seat. So we had to take the challenges and, face it. We are in the driver's seat. Just thinking about all these in the past 4 to 5 years, how to come to a kind of approach towards a model, strategic model, management model. To that, I found this old model from McKinsey from 2008 or 2009 called the 3 Horizons model. First step is run the business. We must get profit. We must still get profits to get the next steps. Still, we need old methods like waterfall, whatever. Maybe project managers can identify possible further development potential within these processes and in the results under sustainable criteria. I guess the risk potential here is quite low and the barriers are quite low. If we go to Horizon 2, we have to reinvent the business. That means that the projects leave familiar environment. We need hybrid methods like Agile, Scrum integrated. Processes and results are defined and delivered in manageable and clearly defined steps. We might have an enhancement on competitive positions, not greenwashing. Risk potential increase and barriers too. And Horizon 3 is transform it. This project pursue visionary goals, taking into account from experiences gained from Horizon 1 and 2. We need knowledge management for that, databases, whatever. The project management then leaves the familiar methods and take risks, keeping groundbreaking developments in focus, developing potential for previously unknown and new markets. Focus on circularity, risk potential high and barriers too. Then I try to bring this into practical approach. And together with some students from we delivered this into what I call the generic big picture for the design of the future. Down, you have still the management with strategic decisions. Continue further development of strategic goals. Time horizon for sustainable product development. That's still the task of the management. On the left side, you have the project management, sustainable product design and development. With Horizon 1, 2, and 3. Run, reinvent, transform. Generations 1 and 2. Focused on product development. Palliative, what is immediately solvable? With on-board remedies. Hopeful, development, identified, planning, and process. Generations 3 and 4, tactical and partial. And generation 5, 6, and 7, strategic and radical. This was published in last year in San Sebastian on an IPMA Congress, International Congress on Project Management and Engineering, and discussed there. And I found this as a kind of interesting approach because I get a lot of discussions about that. Then how to implement that into practical use. 2 case studies we have done about this. One for automotive supply, hydraulic and electric racks. So generation 1 and 2 might be waste production, sustainable life cycle assessment, design for energy efficiency and lean practices. 3 and 4, design for remanufacturing. design for remanufacturing and durability, and application what's called the RAM Pro metrics, and 5, 6 to 7 closing product life cycles, market-based initiatives, end-of-life strategies, and extended product responsibility. Published on the Technical University. Next was robotics, another case study. Generation 1 and 2 improved process efficiency, reducing time and costs, streamline disassembly, pre-processing, reassembling, expand remanufacturing, develop new technologies and business models. I speed up a bit because still at 4 minutes or something like that. Okay? Yeah, also published here. And then a use case from a consumer goods company. Also delivered last year from the Technical University. Just directly copy from the publication. To successfully achieve all sustainable related goals in the commitment time span, there need to be an organizational change and not just a business transformation. This is from a global player. It's a global player with 138 production plants worldwide. They do it. They go to net zero with all the production facilities. And this is a kind of, let's say, strategic approach, how they do it. They deliver the net zero goal from the top management and country-specific strategies for country X to country Y or wherever. And then for each business unit, an own strategy. From my point of view, that means that it is possible to do. We just have to take the challenge. But I guess that we do not have to reinvent the wheel. Organizations, companies who have experiences in what's called PPM, project portfolio management, probably know about circular processes like that. And maybe it can be adapted to organizational structures like this. If you have organizational structures and basic knowledge for next 7G project management, that's what I guess. And I come to the end with rethinking strategic and project management. If you go to this portfolio, we still like to be in the known knowns, things we know that we know them. That is our cozy zone. This is our comfort zone. We like to be there. It's human nature. Then we have the known unknowns, things we know that we do not know them. All research and development is going into this area. If we just want to have innovations, e-cars or whatever, we have to go there. Up there with the unknown knowns, that's funny, because from my point of view, that are things we do not want to know that we know them. And this is an area of risks. Max is grinning, he probably knows it. And the last of the portfolio, we are in the unknown unknowns, things we do not know that we do not know them. And that means we had to challenge all these new areas. So we had to get new design features. We had to change our paradigm for management. We have to change our paradigm for project management and strategic management. Yeah, and that's it. Let's have an outlook to the impact of artificial intelligence, which might have. Design the futures. We are in the driver's seat. And probably, I guess that AI will have a really big impact to the future. Because we are exposed to exponential growth and knowledge and development. And here again, yeah, unknown unknowns, things we do not know that we do not know them. AI deployments. Found in December, this publication also in Nature, scaling deep learning for materials discovery. A team in California using an artificial intelligence tool to design new materials. And this tool delivers within a very short time 2.2 million new materials. So they had to break it down to what is stable, maybe for the production cycles or whatever. That means, from my point of view, that AI still will have a big impact towards the circular economy and the development we have to face. And I will end up now with a conclusion. We are in the driver's seat. I will end up with a citation. Can you still hear me? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, there was. Really?
Yes, we can hear you.
It's funny because I have some music in my ear. Okay, sorry. I call here Stephen Hawking's "One Planet, One Humanity." I think everybody knows this big astrophysics from UK who died in 2018. He said, "I hope that when I'm gone, there will be people with influence and power to have creativity, courage, and leadership qualities." So we are in the driver's seat. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Wolfgang. Thank you, Wolfgang. And now we have 10, 15 minutes to ask more about your thoughts and your view. I would like to start. We are receiving questions, and I would start first with thanking Thomas. That says that one Maori told me our target is to become good ancestors, which is very much in line with your seven generation perspective. Thank you, Thomas. I would like. Can you hear me, Wolfgang?
Yes.
Great. I would like to start
Sorry,
from a question from Enrico. And sorry for my pronunciation of Japanese. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Onigai Shimazu, Dr. Wolfgang. The question is, what are your thoughts on reconciling circular economy with technology products planned obsolescence? You have shown the iPhone, no?
Yeah.
15 generations of products in 16 years. One new generation per year.
Yeah.
So, how do you reconcile the circular economy with technology planned obsolescence and the right to repair movement? Arigato.
Arigato. This is not easy to answer because I think everything belongs on the awareness of the management and the strategic point of view and the project management and the designers behind it. It also has some impact, of course, to what the consumers will do or not do. But I have this question several times when I have speeches like this. And my suggestion is that every big player in the world, even if it's Apple or these consumer producers I have shown here, has a kind of marketing and sales department. And the marketing and sales department, also together with the PR, they know probably how to get impact towards the consumers of everybody who buys their products. And that means from my point of view that it's just I go back to this sentence here from this case, from this use case, what he is writing down here. Give me a second here. There needs to be an organizational change and not just a business transformation. And I guess that the whole organization had to follow this. And this is just, the strategic impact of the management and that it can be realized by projects. So I guess that we had to come together.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gleiser. Wolfgang. It is not just a person in terms of project manager, but it becomes a responsibility of the organization. And this is why we are working also on the OCB in IPMA, and we will see later. I thank very much Mitra from London. Danke und Grüße aus London. That places another very interesting point. Are there specific challenges, perhaps more pronounced in less developed countries that you foresee? And what are the strategies you would recommend for overcoming them? Because in the less probably no in the less developed countries we have the issue of fostering that growth that you showed at the beginning, for food, for clothes, for tools, for all the commodities that in the more developed countries are already available for more people.
Yeah, I think this is also a political issue. We, if I take it for Germany, have still lots of knowledge. I just show you these slides from the IPT Fraunhofer Institute with this Congress about green technologies and other things. We still have knowledge about how to implement things like this. And I think we can transform this knowledge to these not very big developed countries and bring it together with some people from there, researchers, managers, whoever, just to adapt this to what they really need there. Because their problems can be really different. They had to focus since longer heat waves. They have to focus since longer some floods and other things around that. So we had to get our technologies, our knowledge together with what they need and their knowledge. And then we probably can develop new technology too. I think this might be a way, but this is also a kind of political decision. That means,
of course. But you see it also, and if I may, Wolfgang, as an opportunity, because we can. You talked a lot about lesson learned, so we can support to quickly, quicker develop. I have an interesting question from Galina. Thanks a lot for sharing these important ideas. And could you please share your thoughts, view, insight on sustainable project management when you are in a crisis phase? Galina makes the example in a wartime, but could be in any cases when you do not have probably time to act. You don't have all the degrees of freedom to be a designer of the future.
Okay, this is just a bit a different area, but there are still some, let's say, some strategic objectives or strategic methods to face towards that. For example, one is, it's an older one from Harvard, Snowden and Booney, the Sinefin framework, where you can just find out about how to act in a crisis situation, how to act in a catastrophe. And one good example, which I always like to discuss also with my students, is that it's quite familiar known that there was a second Fukushima plant with a tsunami 2011 in Japan. This second Fukushima plant was about 50 kilometers away from the one who collapsed, and this plant gets the same tsunami. And it does not collapse. There's a very interesting article in Harvard Business Review about I think it's from 2014, that a team from Harvard found out that there's another plant, and they go to Japan and try to investigate what happens there. And it was just a complete different handling of the manager of the plant. He just didn't get in panic. He just, let's say, stay cool, to say it like this. He involved completely his team. What is necessary to do on the next steps? They have what's called emergency response center, bring all these people together and then get out again for working, getting the problem solved. And they did not collapse. It's interesting. Harvard Business Review 2014. You will probably find.
Thank you very much for this. Maybe we can add this to the bibliography when we share the presentation.
Yeah, I can go to Snowden Boonies from Harvard and also to Harvard Business Review. I can just give the links. Yeah.
I have another question, and I will integrate with another point. Harald, Harald says, how many generations of top management is necessary so that the company accept project management of the next generation if it costs money? It is something. It is something that is critical, because me and you discussed this many times. No, the project result depends on the acceptance of the sponsor, but the sponsor sometimes is a manager that has short-term objectives, while the project manager that we bring on is a designer of the future for the next 7 generations. And you have told that the project managers are on the driver's seat.
Yeah.
But at the end, you clearly described the matrix organization. The project manager has a sponsor. So there is a trade-off. And okay, Harald says how many generations we need of top managers. And if it is more than one generation, we don't have time. So how do you suggest that we start managing this trade-off?
I hope we need only one or two. I don't know. It's just that's not easy to answer. What I'm doing is currently, since a couple of years in my teaching at the Technical University, because I have a kind of very, very high potentials in this master program. I try to bring them to the point that they've been aware of this. That they get a kind of awareness about, let's call this sustainability, whatever that means. So therefore, they been more or less aware of what's going on in the future. And I just confronted them also with problems like this, with product design, with thinking about the delivery of the project results, what happened afterward in 10, 20, 100 years with the product or with the service they delivered, how might it be developed in the future towards the goals for sustainability, towards what I call the super client. What is necessary to do? And therefore, I think I still have let's say trained, and we get 50 to 60 students in the course of project management. In the last 4 years, I've trained already 200 or something like that in that case. So, but I think we also need something more awareness in the education programs about that, also with the universities and other things, so that we get more deeper into the topics.
And thank you very much. It's important that I'm sure that the next generation of top managers will go to institutions like the university that you are teaching on, and I hope they can have you as a teacher, a professor. I think we also answer to Alfredo, but I have a very straight question from Thomas, which is for me quite interesting. Aren't projects in general based on a linear time concept? I mean, they have a start, they have an end. So if you look at Wikipedia, you say a project has a time frame. They have a progress towards a target, so a clear scope.
Yes.
So if so, how do we reconcile a cyclical time concept with repeating patterns, or having as an environment the project, which in theory, and I need to have your view, is a linear one. So we have linear, but we want to implement a circular approach.
Yes, that's what I tried to develop with. I go back to the slide here. Give me a second. With this 3 horizons model.
True. Bravo.
Yeah. It's that one. We had to run the business. This is just a classical waterfall, whatever we've been using. But besides that, with having focus on horizon 2 while the project is running in a linear stage, it's okay. We still need this. Yeah. Maybe we have the chance to identify further development. Yeah. As I think as project manager, and I worked 20 years in that, we still have the opportunity to find out what will be the next steps. Yeah. And then we can just put this into database, discuss this in what's called project portfolio management sessions or whatever. We need to get this knowledge well prepared, to say it like this. And then we can just think about also the next steps, transform it. Yeah. I think we had to integrate this in our mindset. Yeah. And then we just can discuss inside our companies how to handle this in the future. It's not something we just had to deliver today or something like that. It's just the future outlook. And I think it's possible to handle it. I know it also from my former days working on that we're just thinking about sometimes from time to time about the next steps behind that.
And this introduce a little bit of circularity also in the project management, no?
Right.
Recursive approach. And thank you very much. We have a couple of questions, but I'm sure that we can integrate when we share the slides. We reached the end of our session, and I really thank you, insightful Wolfgang.
Yes.
I really thank all the attendees.
I enjoy.
Tremendous interaction. Really, it's great to be in a webinar where the participants are so knowledgeable. So thank you very much. I hope to see you in the next events of the special interest group. Subscribe to keep being informed and be part of this movement, please. We need everybody to be in the driver's seat.
Yes, thank you.